Ah, nice. How you doing?
What's good?
How you doing, Eddie?
Good. How you doing, Eddie? It's always weird talking to another Eddie. I
For sure. That's
actually met another Eddie last week, an artist from Toronto, and I went and met him, and once again it was weird. It's like Eddie, Eddie.
when I was making the image for the flyer, and when I was saved the file, I typed it how I spell it with the IE, and I had to like go back, and I was like, oh yeah, with the Y.
Yeah, I
You
feel like most Eddies spell it with an IE. I
know?
feel like when I spoke to that Eddie, I said he's an artist. Started as a graffiti artist. He told me that he changed it to a Y because of his graffiti, so he doesn't have to add an extra letter. He's like, as a graffiti artist, you always take the chance to take off a letter if you can. So,
Yeah, yeah, for
but
sure.
it depends, I guess. Is your name Edward or what is it?
My last name is Edwards.
Okay, so it's your last name, Edwards.
Yeah, and
Okay, okay.
the G is from Glenn.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So it's that you just flip around, you know?
Dope, dope, dope.
Yeah. So have you always ran with that? Like me, like when I started off making music first. I was G Dog, my first rap name. Horrible.
I feel like that's very like 90s or thousands, some dog like
Yeah, yeah,
everybody was a dog, sea dog, some dog like
yeah, yeah.
um no, I've actually I used to rap when I was a lot younger, like when I was a teenager, and I used to go by Ray D, REYD. Ray means king in Spanish, and D is for my real name, Damien.
Okay.
So I ran for Ray D for a long time. I became a producer and everything, and I always went under the Ray D name. And it wasn't until I took some time off and decided to come back as a rapper that I changed my name to Eddy Jones. So I've only been Eddy Jones for like 5, 6 years. Before I
Yeah.
was Ray D for a long time. Yeah.
I mean to bring up like, this early, but yeah, we mentioned the dogs. Um, DMX. Yo,
DMX, man, come on,
rest in peace to
so
fucking
sad.
man. Like,
Yeah, I was telling my girl that like for our age group, like if you were into hip hop in the late '90s, early thousands, like DMX was everything back then. It didn't get any bigger. I feel like certain artists, are big, but other artists have their time. Where you can look back at their time and say, okay, that was, Snoop was 1992 type of thing, and '99, 2000. That belonged to DMX. It was like he was the greatest thing, and
yeah,
yeah, it hurts. This one hurts.
like me, like DMX came out when I was in I was in grade 8, and like
Mm.
I remember all of us like this just before high school, we're all walking around growling at each other, barking, where my dogs at? Like just like
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
it's definitely something like I've always kind of like kept that with me like every once in a while like it was just gonna come up and I was like where my dogs at?
Arr, yeah.
uh,
You know. Yeah, yeah, I think that's what the important thing about a big artist is that they're very unique, and because they're unique, they're easy to, you know, do your imitation of them or something like that. Everybody has a Snoop, everybody has a DMX, and that's how you know they're big or they're gonna be big because they don't sound like anyone else. Like when you hear DMX, you knew it was DMX. Like that's all, So I
yeah,
think that's why he was so big. I feel like, and once again, I was telling my girl because she was here when he died, or when we found out. Um, from what I listened to before him, I feel like everything was so kind of the same. It was either East Coast or West Coast, but it all kind of sounded the same. And DMX was the first rapper that I heard that I remember seeing like I didn't understand, what he was doing because he was so different. Da-da-da, 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 da-da-da. You know what I mean? And he had his own like thing that it was just like, and it was around the same time where I was getting into rapping, so I was really studying people's flow and how their breathing techniques and all that. Like I was being really geeky about shit, and but just hearing it was like I did not understand it. It was just like holy. And as I was playing songs for my girl, she's like, you were kind of influenced by him, weren't you? Like, I can hear little parts of you in there. And I was like, yeah, actually, now that I think of it, because you don't think about those influences, right? Like, they're just embedded in your head, right? In your DNA. So
yeah, exactly.
When you're coming up with stuff, you don't think, oh, that's what I got from DMX, or that's what I got from this person. It just comes out naturally. And then it's until somebody else points it out that it's like, you know what? Yeah. So
yeah, definitely.
Rest in peace, DMX.
Like definitely like a lot of rappers start out and they'll have like a certain flow, like one rapper, but as they progress and build their skill, they start mixing in other influences. So then it becomes like a melting pot, and then it becomes their own style, right?
Exactly. And it's like there's always describe it to like cooking. It's like you go to a certain country and it's like, oh, you guys use this spice, you guys use this method, and then you pick it up, you go back home, and then when next time you're cooking, you throw it in, and you don't tell anyone, but then someone has your food, and they're like, oh shit, like what is that? And you're like, oh, it's my special ingredient. It's the same thing with hip hop, That's why it's so difficult to be original, because we're all influenced, we're all introduced to this by someone that we love, someone that we want to be like, emulate, and stuff like that, and they end up becoming a part of who we are.
For sure. Yeah, like I find the best way to do that is kind of like don't completely copy them, but like honor them. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And shit. So yeah, so we talked about like the name changes and stuff like that. So when was like the first like the moment you had where like oh shit, I'm doing this hip hop shit? Was it like a certain show? Was it like a certain song coming out, or
where I decided that I was gonna do it?
No, I'm saying like
or that I fell in love with hip hop. You mean like with the moment that I felt like, oh my god, like this hip hop shit is me?
Yeah.
Wow. One of the biggest moments for me was watching the Grammys and watching Coolio perform Gangsta's Paradise, because, that song with it was like, I'm talking 96, 97 maybe. So, I was still young enough to like idolize people, you know what I mean? And to still look at it like, they look, they're not human to you at that moment, you look at them like, holy shit. And just seeing that amount of production that he had, of course the Grammys always go big. They have that, that money, the network money. So watching, they had like a full, like huge chorus, and they had like so that's when I felt like, because I always thought of hip hop as like, beatboxer, like somewhere, like in a playground somewhere, and somebody's beatboxing or somebody has a beat in the back, and we just kind of doing it. It's kind of for fun. But when I watched that Grammys performance of Gangsta's Paradise, that's when I knew how big it could be, and I realized that it was something that people were just tapping into, and that it wasn't, fully developed yet. And I think that's what was exciting for me. Now hip hop is, mainstream. Everyone likes hip hop. Everyone and their grandma likes hip hop. But back then it was still looked at it like, you're like rap. That's bullshit. Fuck rap. You know what I mean? So it was exciting for me knowing that I was coming in at such a important time in hip hop. I think I recognized it back then. And sure enough, I mean, since then, since 1996, so much has happened. Like I said, especially at that time when I came in, that's when, Tupac died and Biggie died. And so it was so much happening at the time. I felt like it was exciting. You know what I mean? I remember going to buy the Source magazine, and, it's kind of like one of those things where you just discover one thing and then you're like, oh, what about this? And you're like, holy shit, there's more and more. I remember just like flipping through the Source pages and just finding the new rappers, like South rappers that I would have never heard about from Louisiana, and rappers that weren't that known back then, like Juvenile and stuff like that, they were in the back. And I just remember always studying and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know if I can picture like one specific moment. I think it was just, like I said, it was just discovering so much and much,
Yeah.
But if I could pick one artist for sure that I felt like, this is it for me, it was definitely Snoop, Doggy Style,
right.
Because that funk, that the way he was rapping, but it was really melodic. You know what it was, and it was like, oh man, I just remember like literally replaying that CD 100 times, like no, no over exaggeration, like and just trying to rap it, lottie dottie. We likes the party. We don't cause trouble. We don't bother nobody, because just trying to rap all that. You know what I mean? It was just like I think that's what made me fall in love more than anything else, I would say.
Yeah, for me, I was into like bands like Korn and Metallica and kind of stuff like that. So I bought the Family Values VHS, the tour VHS, and Ice Cube was on there. And like when I seen Ice Cube set, I was like, whoa, what is going on right here? And I'm like,
Yeah.
like this shit is like, it just changed me. Like seeing like Cube perform there. And then like like I was a fan of the song "Wicked" by Korn, but then I found out like during that set
it was Ice Cube song.
It was an Ice Cube song. So I was like, oh shit! Like so I went back and I checked out I started checking out more of Cube, and then I found Dre, and then I found Snoop, and it just became like oh shit, this hip hop shit,
It's funny because it kind of did the same thing to me, but backwards. Because by that time I was already into Cube, West Side Connection, all that was already a huge thing for me, and they kind of introduced me to Korn and Limp Bizkit and all that stuff. I feel like that was a good moment for hip hop and rock, like that. Yeah. That you had Method Man going on Limp Bizkit's album, and Korn, you know what I mean, the Fuck Dying song with Korn and Ice Cube. So it was a lot of like cool mixture between the both, having Dub C come out and dance on the Korn video, like get your boogie on, like, you know what I mean? If you're already a West Side Connection fan, a Dub C fan, and you're just getting into Korn, and then seeing him come out was like, holy shit, like, it was like worlds colliding, like, you know what I mean? So especially at the time, like I said, I got really into rock, because the same way you discover one thing, discover another, I discovered Korn, and then I discovered Rage Against the Machine and like little bands like that, you know what I mean? Exactly. And you just go down that whole, this is also like LimeWire days, right? So you just kind of type it in and you download everything and you're like, holy shit, what is this?
Me, I was a fan of Rage like before I even like really got into like, hip hop. And then like when I realized, when I went back and listened to Rage afterwards, I was like, yo, they're actually rapping over like this.
He's rapping, yeah.
Like they're rock shit,
Exactly. It's not that much difference, man. A lot of people think that, like, hip hop is so different, but like the same stuff that they were doing in funk back in the days, the same stuff that they were doing, like even back in the 1920s, you hear a lot of like hip hop influence, a lot of skip it, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's very, like I was saying before, it's very hard to be original. All those people came from somewhere, you know what I mean? So I feel like everybody was, that's why it's so easy to do both genres, or people, walk that line, because they're so alike, you know what I mean? It's easy. Like you hear those rock beats, and even though they're rocking, there's still like a very hip hop bounce, you know what I mean? Like I've done that many times. I've gone with bands and they kick a beat and they just with the funky bass, and I just freestyle it. Man, that's fun to me, you know what I mean?
For sure. I definitely done that too. Like like prior to doing these interviews, I was doing shows and I was putting out songs. Yeah, and playing with a band. Just fucking around, just having some beers in the jam session and just rhyming over their beats. It's fucking super dope.
Same, like I've done 1,000 hip hop shows, but rock shows is where it's at. You know what I mean? Just the vibe that you get, the hearing the instruments. You know what I mean? It's nothing like it. Of course, hip hop is cool, and but hearing the beats over the speakers and hearing the actual instruments, hearing the drum, there's nothing like it. I'm not a rock guy. I can't sit there and rock out to myself. I can't be, doing the dishes. I can't do that shit. But I love going to rock shows. I love, like I said, not only the sound, but just the environment. Everybody in hip hop, especially in shows, is very like, fuck you, I'm better. Oh yeah, you're good, but I'm better. Hip hop shows, or rock shows, the complete opposite. Every rock show that I've done, bro, such a good job, man. It's so dope. Like, congratulations. They'll come, shake your hand. Like, that does not happen in rap whatsoever. Like, you know.
Right?
Rapper's like, yo, that guy's good, but I'm not gonna fucking bump my head to him because fuck that. I'm not gonna see him like it's like such bullshit.
Yeah, like
right guys are like up there, they're fucking rocking with you. They're having like so much fun.
That's so facts. Like I said before this, I was doing shows and I was putting out songs. The second I started doing the interviews, and like all the rappers started just looking at me different. When I used to walk into the shows before, it was the same thing. There's another rapper.
Exactly.
Fuck him. But then like I come in as the interview guy, and they're like, oh hey Eddie,
Mm-hmm.
It's like
I feel like you know what I mean, and you just gotta take the negative with the positive, you know what I mean, and that's where it's at, and that's what I always try to do and show people love, you know what I mean, because even though I'm rapping now, I'm not in competition with other people, you know what I mean. That's why I don't enter those competition B type of challenges and all that stuff, because I'm not an egotistical rapper. I feel like that's what separates me from most and others, you know what I mean? And I am able to show love, and, you know what I mean? Like when you approach me about doing the shows, like, yo, let's do something, of course, right away, because I'm all about that working together, you know what I mean? Rather than, fuck you, I'm better. You know what I mean? I'm not about that life, so.
Oh, for sure. Like, if I'm actually going to do this, I'm going to get to the top. I don't want to be alone. I want to bring people with me,
Exactly.
Exactly. Like, what the fuck am I going to do? Like, just sit there by myself? all this fucking money,
Yeah.
Like, it seems kind of boring,
There's a lot of people like that too, man. But I mean, hey, you got to do what you got to do for yourself, man. That's how people, it works for a lot of people. A lot of people have been able to get very ahead by having that kind of mentality. So, I mean, I'm not putting anyone down, but that's whatever people want to do, you know what I mean? That's up to them. But that's not the kind of shit that we're doing over here. You know what I mean? We're all about that love, and we're all about, working together, and you know what I mean? Like the positive vibes and all that stuff. You know what I mean? That's why, like, I've worked with most rappers around this area here, just, because they show me the love back that, I show them. For the most part, at least.
For sure. You work with B1, Lunch Poets,
yep.
Lunchroom Poets.
Yes, sir.
How did that collaboration come about? Like, how did you guys start working?
I did a radio interview for doing the music. I don't know if you know those guys, Jason and those guys over there. And they were putting a show together, and they invited me to it. And I said, of course. And B1 was there. And once again, when you go to those hip hop shows, nobody's too cool. And I saw him; he was standing by himself, and I was standing by myself, because I don't need a crew. Like I roll by my show to show by myself, And I just started talking to him there. Watched him perform. I had heard of him from before from Kenzo, from Perspective Music. He was who put together Lunchroom Poets. I was recording at their studio at the time, and this was when B1 had just won the first Stitch Bars contest, and so that's how I heard of him. So when by the time I met him at the show, I knew a little bit about him. So I did was interested in watching him perform and stuff like that. And from there we connected. I got him to do one song. I said, yo, do you want to jump on a song? Sure. He said, you want to jump on a song? Sure. So then I was like, yo, we have 2 songs. The chemistry's good. Let's do a fucking whole EP. And then from 2 songs turned to 7. And we put out that 6-song EP. And now he's executive producing my album that's coming out hopefully in May.
No. Yeah, it's definitely dope finding like good people you have good chemistry with. It's definitely a hard thing, like finding like in this whole scene, like finding people that have a similar vision that like you can get along with. Like sometimes like you can get along with somebody, but you don't have a similar vision. And then sometimes this person has a similar vision, but you can't really get along with them. So
exactly.
Yeah, but
and I think that's why it's it means so much when you finally do find somebody who it works with, because like you said, it's always something. It's either the chemistry, it's a lot of times it's schedules. A lot of people that I used to work with is just they live too far. They have different schedules than me, so it's not easy to connect. But the thing that I recognized about B1 from the beginning was that not only was he a very talented, rapper and producer, but that he had a lot of drive. And that's always been my biggest issue with most rappers. You know, they want to be stars, they want to, you know, this and that, but they don't want to put that work. And which I completely understand. Life always gets in the way. Most people our age have, you know, a gang of kids, jobs, girlfriends, wives, all that shit. I understand. But for you to find that time and actually go and do it and get it done, you know what I mean? It's, you know, especially when you have so many other things, you know, getting in your way. So, yeah, that's what I recognize about him. So especially because around at that time, it was when I was really starting to get into it. I met him in 2019. So I had only been out for like a year at the time. So I only had like, you know, 2-3 songs at the time. So I was known as a producer from before in the shows that I did and stuff like that, but I wasn't known as a rapper. And I wasn't definitely being taken serious as a rapper because since people knew me as a producer for such a long time, when I came out rapping, they just thought, okay, he's going to put out one song, you know, okay, he's just having fun, you know. And I wasn't really getting a lot of, I was inviting a lot of people to be in songs, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, sure, yeah. They would give me the runaround and stuff like that. And like I said, in B1 now, he was like, yeah, let's do it. I already had the first verse for the song that we did, the first song that we did together. And he had his verse like within a couple days. You know what I mean? So, and then like I said, he said, okay, well, let's do another one. And he had his part like the next day. So, you know, it motivated me to write it right away. You know what I mean? Because I'm not a fast writer. I take my time to stuff. But he did it so fast that I was like, oh, shit, okay, well, I got to do mine fast. You know what I mean? Like I said, we had 2 songs in 1 week. You know what I mean? Like right off the bat. So, yeah, it's great meeting people like that because they motivate you to do more and to step it up. You know what I mean? So shout out to B1.
Yeah, I also know it's like you have a dope logo. Who did your logo?
Richie, Authentic.
Okay, that was a Richie one, yeah. Yeah. He did mine as well.
You got a dope logo too, man. Yeah, I figure like these days, if you're from around here and you have a dope logo, it's probably Richie that did it. Like,
yeah.
You know, I feel like you're dumb if you work with someone else. You know. And,
for sure.
Yeah, I felt like because I put out the logo before I put out any music, and from working before with other artists, I recognize that branding is very, very, very important. And I knew that I needed the right logo, that it had to be different, you know, but simple enough. And you're showing off your logo over there. Shameless plug. I want one of those shirts, man. Those shirts are dope.
For sure. You have shirts?
Yeah. I got some merch. I got a couple of things that I've put out.
We'll do a swap.
We'll do a little tradesies. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Dope. And yeah, even when it came to the colors, I mean, when I don't know if he did the same thing to you, but when he sent me the original, you know, idea, it was in a different color. I think he was using blue and red, and even that I knew that I wanted to use colors that were different than it hadn't been used, because I feel like, especially in hip hop, colors are associated with certain things. Like you think black and yellow, you think Wu-Tang, you know, the Killer Bees,
for sure.
You know what I mean, things like that. You think pink, Cameron. You know, like, he, you know what I'm saying? It's very, you know, so that's why I wanted something completely different. I wanted something to stand out and that it didn't look like anyone else's.
I'm actually getting a pink shirt on the next order for myself. A pink Eddy.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, like the whole masculinity thing, like, you know, with the, you know, oh, you can't wear pink or you can't wear this color, you can't wear purple. All that shit's bullshit, you know what I mean? I try to be, like I said, as different as I can. And, you know, a lot of people have asked me, like, why did you choose those colors? Like, they think that the colors themselves have a special meaning because they're so different. There's no meaning behind those colors, you know, other than the fact that I wanted to use something that hadn't been used before, that wasn't already, you know, socialized with something already, you know what I mean?
Exactly, and like there is things that I associate with like purple. It's like royalty, you know, like purple's so like when I wear the purple shirt, I'm walking around. I'm a king, you know.
Okay.
I'm walking around with my purple shirt. Like I'm royalty. I'm King Eddie that day. You know?
See, it's funny you say that because when I think purple, I think Prince. I
Okay,
think
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
Prince got the purple unlocked with Purple Rain. Like
for sure.
who wears more purple than, or who did wear more purple than Prince. So
Yeah,
royalty, yeah, it kind of works.
one of the best albums in hip hop, Purple Tape.
Purple Tape, yeah, another one.
Yeah,
Purple, yeah, that's another one I didn't think of. Yeah, even him, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
dope album.
yeah. So, how has it been with merch for you? Like, for me, like I'll tell you, like, people told me for years, like when I was going to do my interviews, like they're like, if you ever get merch, I'll buy it, right? But then these are the same people that would tell me that they come out to shows and they come out and do this and they didn't, right? So I just thought people were, like I'm like, whatever, people are just saying that, right? But then the second I actually got merch, it just sold out. Like
Nobody wants it.
it sold
Oh,
out
okay.
like super quick, and I was like, oh shit, the one thing people weren't lying about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest with you, man, I've never made any money off hip hop, like ever. More than getting paid like a little bit, for a show here and there or whatever.
Yeah,
But any money that I've ever made was from merch. You know what I mean? With the old crew that I used to run with, same thing. We had a logo that we made a lot of merch, and I used one logo and I sold literally thousands of shirts. And I feel like
yeah,
that's the one. I feel like people, a lot of people do want to be a part of it. You know what I mean? They want to help out somehow. They want to support. And what better way than wearing a shirt? You know what I mean? Like, you wear a shirt, you feel like you're a part of the team, you're supporting. It's a nice shirt, it's a nice logo, hopefully. And you know what I mean? Something that people can do without breaking their bank. Because if you ask them to come out to a show, that means that they got to leave their house, they got to plan a whole now. But
yeah,
I'll buy a shirt here. You know what I mean? And especially like mine, like I was lucky enough that people like my logo, so I had people that didn't even know my music asking me for a shirt or for a hoodie. So
yeah, for sure.
it's dope. To me, it's the most humbling thing, man. When people post pictures and they're wearing my shirt, stuff like that. Or even when I see pictures of them just like not in everyday life, they're not even like posting for the shirt. They're just doing something. They're out in their family and they're wearing an Eddy Jones shirt. I'm just like, that's dope. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And I always get to that. People say, "Oh, I was wearing your shirt," and people ask me who's Eddy Jones, and you know what I mean, because
I get that too. Yeah.
exactly. You want that logo to stand out exactly for that, so it kind of sparks conversation. You know what I mean? And hopefully, people are interested to know who the hell you are.
For sure. I definitely get the same messages of like people saying, I seen somebody in like Walmart the other day walking around with you with one of your hoodies, or like like the girl I got at the store down the street from me. I sold her a couple shirts, and she said every time she wears it to work, like she'll be working at the store. She's like, at least like 2 or 3 people come in and say, hey, and they'll recognize the shirt.
One of the weirdest things that happened to me was seeing people that I didn't know wearing my shirts. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be at a patio or something like that, and a couple of tables over, somebody's wearing one of my shirts, and they have no idea who I am.
I haven't had that.
And it's a strange feeling. It's hard to get used to. You know what I mean? Like, it's just it's just like getting recognized too. Like the last video that I put out with B1 a couple of weeks ago, it's called By the Sign. I was at work like the next day or something like that, and I went to get some lunch from a Greek place across the street, and I walk in there, and sure enough, hey, I just saw your video. And of course, everyone in the kitchen just turns around, and I was just like, oh my God, like, it's just, it's hard to get used to those kind of things. You know what I mean? Like,
you
never know what to say. It's just like, oh yeah, hey.
Yeah, I definitely had some of those moments like on my like a bad day. I'll be on a bad day and then I'll be going somewhere, and some people will stop me and be like, "Yo, Eddie G, like I checked out your videos," and it's like it just changes the whole mood right there. It's just like I went from being in a shitty mood to kind of like I'm like, okay, like that was dope. It's definitely a good. It's one of the coolest things ever.
Right. It means that you're doing something good, man. You said that you went from rapping to doing this show. What made you decide to switch over?
Well, something you were saying about like studying the craft and kind of like learning different things. So I was watching the interviews with rappers I was fans of. I'd watch like Nas interviews. I'd watch RZA interviews. And like I watched so many of these interviews that I started becoming fans of like the interview people.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was at a show one day, and I looked around to all the rappers that were on the show, and I was like, none of us have ever had an interview.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what if I'm like, what if I start doing interviews and like I can interview like all these guys, and like start a thing around here because like back then like the only major platforms were like there wasn't like a big like Toronto interview scene and like you had to go to like New York or LA for these interviews, and now people are doing interviews everywhere, right? Like,
yep.
Like me, I was just like there like all the rappers around here, like at the time that I knew, didn't have any interviews, so I was like, let me, I want to start that.
Yeah, it's funny because around 2014. I was planning to do something like this with Dan Barker from Connect the Dot, because same thing, we'd recognize that, you know, before, like you said, there wasn't a scene in Toronto, but now there's a huge scene in Toronto, and especially worldwide because of Drake, you know what I mean? People all over the world are paying attention, and there's still, to this day, isn't like that one where, you know, like Montreal has Montreality or stuff like that, or LA and LA Leakers, you know, that everybody that goes through here goes to that show, that, oh, if you go through here, you have to be interviewed by these people. So that's kind of what we were thinking about doing. But we were going to make it more like a podcast and like a whole production and things like that. And I think that's the reason it didn't take off, because once again, it wasn't just me. It was, you know, relying on other people. And that's when there's more opportunity for things to go wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure it worked more for you because you're just doing it yourself, right? You just decided, fuck, I'm going to do it. You came up with a name. You got your own logo. You got your own shit. You took, you know, matters to your own hands. And that's the way you got to do it around here sometimes, because it's hard to get, you know, in contact with other people and find the time and stuff like that. So
like even like
it's good that you did it, man.
Like even like I've wanted to have help in the past, and like one of the things I've done is like I invite people out. I would say they want to help or something like that. I invite them out to a show, and like I wouldn't really need them to be there, but if they are, they could help out with a couple things and be a lot easier for me, right?
Right.
I really don't need them to be there, so I wouldn't actually be relying on them. So if they didn't show up, I could still do it. But I invite them to see if they'd come help, and like 99% of the time, like they wouldn't show up.
And I mean, you can't even blame people, man, because we were saying before, like, you know, life always gets in the way.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
for sure.
And it's better just not to put it on them, you know what I mean? And not give more opportunities for things to go wrong. It's like, you know what, I'll do it myself. And thank God we live in an era where we are able to do things ourselves, because before, you know, this would have taken thousands of, you know, dollars of production. We'd have to get a camera, pre-production, production, post-production, you know what I mean? The editor, and then to put it out, and then who would watch it, you know? And now we have this where we can just, you know, log in here, and, you know, a lot easier than before.
Like
even the same.
I can you imagine the stress of like the bands. Like imagine being just like you feel like you're the best drummer ever. You feel like you're the man, but like finding the right band members. You know, like
exactly.
It would be like so hard. Like a rap, you can get a beat and you start rapping over it. With interviews, you just gotta get that. You just got one person. You know, like
exactly
one artist on the thing. But like with like the more people you have, like that's why like with sports it's so hard to win like championships, because like to get like that, like to get like 25 people together, you know, that are gonna like really kind of do this and be on the field together. Like that's like some hard ass shit. Imagine like, you know, how hard it is for a band. Imagine how hard it is for like a football team. You know.
Exactly, because you're only as strong as your weakest link. You know what I mean? You can have everybody, you know, but if that one guy fucks up, he messes it up for everyone. You know what I mean? So like that's the problem with what the kind of stuff you're saying. But that's why you just got to take things into your own hands, man, and do everything that you can. You know what I mean? Yourself. You know what I mean? Not rely on others. Well, there's a lot of things that you can't. You know, like sports and stuff like that. But if you can, why not? And that's why I decided to start rapping this time around, because that's exactly what happened. That, you know, before I had, a record label and I had my own artists and stuff like that. And I put it on shows and I was behind the scenes. I was doing it for them, but I relied on them to have the time and to do all this, you know what I mean? And without them, there was nothing because they were the rappers, you know what I mean? So once everybody went their own way, it was just like I put out like 7 mixtapes with those guys. And there was a last one, and that's not including their own individual albums, but there was one that I was working at the very end, and I started collecting beats from all the different producers for this album. And that's when I just, started noticing that, I wasn't getting the same response from people. People were too busy or whatever, growing apart. And I was sitting with this beats and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start writing to them. You know what I mean? And started writing to that. And then it's like, fuck it. I'm just going to do it myself. You know what I mean? And I had all the knowledge from all those years of doing it for them. And I could just do it for myself because I connected all those dots and did all those things. You know what I mean? Not to take anything away from them. Of course they did. They were the rappers or stuff, of course. But I helped them out a lot and I learned a lot from their mistakes and the mistakes that we did for them. You know what I mean? So by the time it was time for me to do it, it was like, okay, I can do this. You know what I mean? I knew exactly where to go and I knew the steps that I needed to take to get to where I wanted to go.
Do you find it easier to write to somebody else's beat? Like over your own beat? Or
I've actually never written to my own beat, to be honest with you, because by the time I started producing, I was already not rapping. You know what I mean? So I think that I tried to, but I was just so focused on making beats. Like as soon as I started making beats, I fell in love with it. So it's like I quickly forgot about rapping or didn't care about it. You know what I mean? Because like we were saying before, everyone raps and everyone's in competition with each other because everyone's trying to be the man, the guy, you know what I mean? And when you provide another service like you do with your show, then people are, okay, now we can do something because now I provide a service for you and you provide a service for me. Now we can work together. So that's how it was for me back then. It was, why should I be rapping when everybody else is rapping, where I can be making beats, I can be recording, I can be, producing all this stuff, engineering, all that stuff, the stuff that people weren't doing back then. I had Pro Tools in 2002. I had an MAC, an Apex 460 in 2002 when shit was $800, $900. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's the shit that I was doing back then. You know what I'm saying? So
that's a serious flex. I had Pro Tools too.
Straight up, man. I mean, the first beat that I made was in a Motif 8 on Logic. You know what I mean? So I was really doing some stuff in a big scale. So that was just like, why should I be rapping? Not to mention that I was very mediocre at rapping back then. And I'm from Mexico and I was trying to do this, like I said, Ray D thing. So I was trying to do come out as like a Latino type rapper. But it didn't really work out for me because I'm not a Latino rapper. I'm from Canada. You know what I mean? So like for here, I'm Mexican. But when I go over there, they pull my card like fucking white boy. You know what I mean? So it didn't make sense for me. You know what I mean? So put it to the back burner and just focus. It went from, like I said, rapping to I would do a hook or stuff here for a rapper here, and then fuck it. I just made beats. And then I even stopped making beats and then it just went to straight engineering. And then I went to like putting on shows, my guys opened up for Wu-Tang, every fucking big artist that you can think of back in those days. So every show that came by here, we did, and then, man, it's been a fucking journey. I'm here now though, man, rapping.
So
I don't remember what the question was. I talk too much, man. I'm fucking high and shit.
you definitely answered it as dope shit. So what is the go-to food? Like a late night, you've had some drinks, you come back from a show. What is that go-to food?
Wow, I was not expecting that question. I'm a man, I like my meat and vegetables, you know what I mean? I'm that type of guy, I'm not, when I was younger, I used to eat a lot of like junk food, pizza, all that shit, and I still do, but all that stuff is just out of because it's easier, you know what I mean? I'm a lazy fuck and it's just whatever to make or, like pick up on the road. But if I'm making my own food, if something that I pick is definitely something healthy and something, like substantial. I'm a big dude, you know what I mean? So like I can't be eating no pizza pockets and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I need a meal. You know what I'm saying?
I definitely hear that too. Like, yeah, like I'm a big guy too. I need that real food, you know.
Exactly. All that shit, other shit, like, because I used to eat that stuff, and it's just like, why am I eating this? Like, I can't. One pizza bucket doesn't do anything for me. If I'm gonna eat a pizza bucket, I'm gonna eat the whole box. You know what I mean? Like, then I'll be full. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not gonna eat a whole box of fucking pizza buckets every time. So it's like, what's the point? You know what I mean?
Real. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't think I've ever like opened up a box of pizza pockets and not eat the whole thing.
Exactly. People are like, oh, I'll save these for later. Like, what is later? Like, no. While the one is cooking and I'm eating the other ones, you know, like,
Right.
never stop, man. Fuck that.
My thing is like one of the grocery stores around here they use to package them in fours, and like when you open up the thing, you two of them together, and they stop selling those ones. But at the other grocery store around here, they have them in threes, but like it's all together. So like before, I'd eat two two at a time, right? But I'm like, fuck, I open up the thing, I gotta eat the third one now.
Of course, we're gonna leave one, and then it's gonna leave you hungry this later. Fuck that.
Right.
I gotta do a plug, man. I gotta say, my dad does have a Mexican restaurant downtown Oshawa at 12 Center Street. It's called Viva Burritos, Viva Burritos. You should try it, man. It's good. If you like Mexican food, like real, authentic Mexican food, like you gotta try my dad's spot, man. It's really good.
I'm definitely somebody that likes to go and try like different like all like food from every culture. Like
Exactly. And that's exactly what my dad's spot is. My dad's spot is somewhere where like foodies like to go to. If you know your food and you don't,
I'm a foodie.
exactly. If you don't just go to like, fill your food, like you like trying different shit and you know what the fuck you're talking about, you would like my dad's spot. You know what I mean? Anybody that likes their food, because he cooks like there's no fryers there, there's nothing greasy, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't use no ground beef, nothing like that. It's all steak, it's all like good meats and stuff like that, you know what I mean? So it's really good. Yeah. Anyone that's been to Viva will tell you like that's a spot to go. Like even you'll see the reviews, like it's a spot. It's not a big spot, you know what I mean? It's a little hole, downtown Oshawa, but it's good shit, man. You should try it. Viva Burritos. Shout out my dad.
Yeah, that's always where the best spots are at. Those little
Exactly.
those little hole in the wall spots. Man, like sometimes like I remember I can't one of the bus stations like they have like a kitchen in there, and I think it was Kitchener.
Okay.
But like I got one of the best poutines I had ever got at a bus station. I was like,
because it's probably grease from like 1987 that's been there and that's never been cleaned, and it's like the most amazing shit ever. Like, like when you see shit written like with chalk and like and everything that's it's gonna be bomb. Like,
oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The thicker the accent, the better the food. I'm telling you right now. It doesn't matter what kind of accent.
For sure. I'm actually like there's a spot in Brantford here. These Japanese people. I go in and get their bubble drinks. It has like it's a green tea thing with like the black stuff in the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole rest, that's the only part of the menu that's on for English. Like the whole rest of the menu is all like Japanese writing.
You don't even know some. Yeah.
And then I was thinking about just going in and just like saying like, hey, I want to get food, but like.
No, the best spots don't even have no letters, man. The best spots just have numbers. Like,
yeah.
B1 and I went to a pho place last week, and they don't even have names. It's just like can I get a 5? You know what I mean? Like, I'll take that one. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
thinking about going in there and just like asking them, like, can I get this one?
No, just point. Like, just give me what you got. Like, you don't even want to know. Like, just trust them, man. They've been doing this. They know what they're doing. It's good shit.
I remember like one of the times I walked in there, like the owner knew me because I've been in there a couple times in those drinks. But it was packed in there one time. It was all like Asian people. And as soon as I walked in, like they're all talking in another language. As soon as I walked in, they all stopped. I walked up to the counter, and they all started again. And then when I was walking out, they all stopped. I was like, this is kind of weird. I'm like, I had no idea what anybody was saying.
You don't want to know, man. You don't want to know. Just keep it moving.
I got in there. I got my green tea, and I was out.
There you go. That's what it is, man. That's what it is. You interviewed Alja earlier on. I missed it. How was that? He's a good dude, man.
It was dope. He's a dope producer.
It's crazy. Like, he came out of nowhere, man. It was like, I feel like, you know, a lot of producers, I see them coming from like afar, you know, and I kind of see them build up. But Alja just went from like, at least for me, went from like, you know, to somebody who nobody heard about to like, holy shit, you know what I mean? And it's like very consistent. And like the same thing about like B1, where it's just work, you know. He's putting out 2-3 beats every day and amazing shit, you know what I mean? And yeah, lucky enough to have him on this album, and we got a couple. I have like 3 songs with him right now. I think only like 1 or 2 are gonna actually make it to the album, but most amazing shit, man. Very clean, simple hip hop shit. So very excited about this stuff.
Dope. Is there any last things to say before we wrap this up? And let them know where they can find the music, and hit you up for anything else, merge and everything.
Just Google me, Eddy Jones, EDDYJONES, and you know, the projects are on Spotify. Everything is there. Like I said, the album that I put out with B1 last year is Freedom, and I do have an album coming out, like I said, in May. So yeah, subscribe to everything. Eddy Jones, thank you for having me, man. Keep doing your thing. Yeah. And yeah, man.
Awesome.
All love to all people out there. You know, shout out my kids. Shout out the crew. Yeah, man. Yeah. That's what it is.
All right. Well, you have a good night, and peace.
Respect, Eddy G.
Yeah, cheers.
Easy.